Welcome back. Today we're going to go through the basics of color grading log footage in Premiere Pro. Now this is going to be a very beginner friendly tutorial, so as always use the timestamps to skip ahead if you need to. Just a note that I'm going to be color grading S-Log3 footage, but whatever log footage you use for your camera's manufacturer, just apply these exact same principles and it should all work out the same anyway. So let's jump right into it. So we just jumped into Premiere Pro here. Now, just a note that this exact clip is actually available in my membership. It's only $5 a month, links in the description, but check it out if you want to. So, I've got my log footage here, S-Log3. First thing I do is add 2 adjustment layers. So, just right click in the import folder here, go new item, adjustment layer. I've already got one here, so I'm gonna add that in there. Then I'm gonna select this adjustment layer, hold Alt or Option on Mac, click and drag up to create a second adjustment layer. Now the first thing I want to do is get this from a log color gamut or color space into Rec 709. What's Rec 709? It's basically like a color space that is like a sort of like a level playing field for all the different camera codecs and types. So if you shoot on all different cameras, if you convert everything back to Rec 709, you should technically have like a very similar image to color match and play around with, and etc. So we're trying to get this from a log color space back to Rec 709, and how we do that is a LUT, a conversion LUT. Now this isn't cheating. People might think, why are you using a LUT? This is an actual color space transform LUT, and it's free. It's not cheating. It's like basically a mathematical equation to get your footage from log back to Rec 709. So how I get this LUT is from the Sony website. It's actually free. Every camera manufacturer should have a free conversion LUT on their site, hopefully. So I'll leave this link in the description, but you're basically just downloading this technical summary LUT for Sony S-Log3. Just hit the download button. Once you've got that downloaded, select the top adjustment layer, go to basic correction in your Lumetri color. Now, if you don't have this Lumetri color, just select this window, or whatever window you want to put it in. Go to window and then go to Lumetri color and make sure that's selected. Then on the basic correction tab, we're going to go to input LUT and go browse, and then just look for your S-Log3 conversion LUT. Open that, and now you'll notice it just took our footage from log to Rec 709. So now we're going to get into probably the most important step in color grading is color correction. This is where you adjust your white balance, your exposure, all of that stuff to get your image looking correct before you do any sort of creative changes to it. And all of this needs to happen on the second adjustment layer. That's why I've got 2 adjustment layers. So the top one is for the conversion, and the second one is for the color correction, because all of this needs to happen before the conversion takes place, so that you're color correcting your log footage, not your Rec 709 footage, because your Rec 709 footage is already sort of colored. There's no information to sort of manipulate. You want to do all of this stuff. So if I just hide the top layer, and then on this bottom layer, we're actually doing everything to the log footage before it's converted. And this is where, so the first thing I like to do is just go on and adjust the exposure. So to adjust the exposure, we just need to use the Lumetri Scopes panel here. If you haven't got that, go to select this, a window, and go to window and go to Lumetri Scopes, and then make sure you have the Waveform, RGB, and the Vector Scope selected. So this is the Waveform, this is the Vector Scope. Now the Waveform here just shows light values, so I use this when exposing. So you technically should be able to take one look at your image and then just go to your waveform and just be able to do it all by eye based on light values, but we like to look at our image at the same time. So first thing I do is adjust exposure. So I just want to make it a little bit brighter, maybe like 0.3 maybe, and then go and add a little bit to the shadows, just bring them down a bit. So, and then the blacks, I like to bring those down just a tad. I don't really like doing too much in this basics tab. I like to do everything in the curves, but you sort of get the idea here where you can sort of manipulate these things. And now if you look at the waveform, it's broken up from 0 to 100. Now 100 is the color white, 0 is the color black, and everything else is in between. So your shadows are sort of like 0 to sort of 30, and then your mid-tones, which is like your skin, all that stuff is from like sort of 35, maybe 40 up to 70, and then you've got your highlights, so sort of from like 70 to 90, and then from 90 to 100 is your whites, and sort of from 0 to 10, or like 0 to 5 is your blacks. You want to push everything in your image to the certain zones. I've just done a little bit in the basic correction, then I'll come to curves, and I'm going to add an S curve. So just like the scopes, this is sort of works the same thing. Blacks are at the bottom, highlights are at the top, shadows are here, midtones are right in the middle, and then highlights are up here. So I just drag the shadows down and then raise the midtones and highlights a little bit more. Don't want my skin to be clipping. And just drag this down just so you can't really see anything in the back. This is just personal preference anyway. And then comes color correction, and I'll show you how I use the vector scope here to try and get good skin tones. So I'll just take my image, my source video here, go to Effect Controls, go to the Opacity tab. I'm going to zoom in just by scrolling in. Grab the pen tool and just grab a nice little mask only on the skin. It's just temporary, and you'll notice here that the vector scope for our skin, you'll notice there's this line here. Now this line is the skin tone line, so it doesn't matter what color your skin is, you just want to isolate your skin here like I have with a mask, just temporarily, and it'll show what colors are inside that mask. And these colors, if they're only skin, this is why I mask around the skin, the vector scope should have all of those colors on that line. So if I go and use the basic correction tab, and the skin is usually adjusted in the tint part here, not the temperature usually. So I just push this to the green here, so now it's getting pushed more towards green over here and yellow. So then I'll hide that mask, and now you'll notice that my skin is looking a bit yellowy, greenish. And if you push it more to the right, then obviously it's going more towards red and magenta. So this is magenta over here, this is green. It's pushing more over to the magenta side, getting more red. You basically just want to make sure your skin tones are lying right on the line, because almost everything in your image when color grading, it all relies on how realistic your skin looks. So you can add all the color grading you want, but if your skin is, you can add blue to your shadows and all that, but if you start getting blue in your skin, it just looks like you're just adding blue to the whole image. When you get a proper orange and teal color grade, your skin should be orange, and the shadows, everything else should be teal. So it's complementary colors is what it is. But anyway, so we don't actually have to do anything with the tint. This is because I nailed my white balance straight away. Let's go. So I'm going to delete this mask. So we've got this here. Now I'm actually pretty happy with that, to be honest. Now this is cool. I've got my light values where I want them. Pretty basic. Now I'm going to go back to the top layer again, because now any creative adjustments, like color adjustments I want to add, they should be to the top layer so that they're actually getting added after the conversion. So you don't want to add any creative adjustments to your log footage. That needs to be correct, like color corrected before the conversion. So if we select the top layer now, so because our input LUT is at the top, it's always going to be the first thing that happens. Everything else after that is sort of secondary. So that's why we can do all of our creative coloring here. Now if you've bought my LUT pack, this is where I would add one of my creative LUTs after this whole process is finished. So I'll go to creative, go to none, and here and add one of my creative LUTs. So you'll notice that it's added a little bit of a little bit of teal bluish to the shadows and everything, but the skin tones are still intact, which is the key. So you need to keep your skin tones intact. I'll go to like hot flame. This sort of accentuates the skin, makes it a bit warmer. Orange and teal. It's probably not a good spot here for orange and teal because there are too many shadows here. You need to sort of do more of a manual orange and teal, like for this. But see how the skin tone's still unaffected, but there's too much shadow. There's not enough separation there. Razor. Don't mind this one's sort of a bit more neutral. We got streamline. Streamline is sort of the one that I almost always use. It's just probably the most realistic looking LUT from my LUT pack. Tropical, again, it's pretty full on. This is more of I use this in my outdoor stuff for creative stuff, not so much in dark scenarios like this. This is very full on. And then urban, same thing, just takes a bit of the contrast out, takes, desaturates some of the colors a bit, but it's not really doing it justice using these LUTs in this scenario. You need more colors to show the color shifts and stuff from the LUTs. So anyway, that's my very basic color grading workflow in Premiere Pro. I'll go into some more advanced stuff, but you sort of need to know this stuff. This is sort of like the baseline stuff, knowing that color correction comes before your conversion is very important, and that color correction is probably, the most important part of color grading, I'd say. But anyway, I hope you learned something. Follow my Instagram, TikTok, links down there. Stand store if you want this exact clip to go on color grade and follow along. Thanks for coming by. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.